Okay, round three. So we're gonna do this stream. We're gonna finish up this project, and it'll be fine. Um, I am so sorry to those that are not able to see this live. I didn't realize I had misscheduled this on my calendar, so I ended up missing it. So I'm doing this makeup stream for those who are waiting for it, who want to see the resolution of this project. Again, so very sorry. I'm usually better out of that. Time zones make things kind of wonky. I'll definitely be better in the future about that. But again, hoping that you have this for the future, because people will watch the recordings, and that's totally fine. But with that, let's get into it. I managed to push some code earlier this morning that fixed up all the issues that we had yesterday when I switched to that working project. And so it does work. And it does incorporate a prompt that we weren't initially including in what I was demonstrating yesterday, which is a more formalized Wikipedia bot that says provide source links, provide information on a topic, basically just be more than just a QA, but a Wikipedia bot kind of thing. And you can see that there's some things in here that I've left in, like the travel bot and game bot, that we'll go ahead and fill in so that way you can get a more diverse look of what a ChatGPT application could look like, with the intent, of course, that at the end of the day, you will go beyond this skeleton and you'll be able to make something even more impressive than what we've done over the last 3 days, which collectively was only about 6 hours, which most of it was debugging. But I mean, that's basically a hackathon project, isn't it? So if you want to hang out and chat, you're welcome to do so if you are watching live. No pressure. My hope is that we'll basically wrap this project up, tie it off with a nice bow, that you can then go ahead and take us in your own direction after the stream. But while there is no event link, because again, I goofed, I'm so sorry, my hope is that at least you'll enjoy the remainder of this. And let me go find that GitHub link so that way, if you wanted to follow along, or if you weren't already and you're watching this later, you would be able to. Let's pull that up. Code. Yeah. So here is the GitHub link. Once that goes through, you're welcome to fork the repo, use it as you like. Again, all of my streams are like this, where I encourage you to take the project in your own direction and do more amazing things with it. My hope is to keep this stream actually about an hour and 45 minutes. It may take a little more, it may take a little less. We'll just see what bugs we run into as we go. Nothing like a classic stream if we don't have a pretty big bug, but I mean, we're learning problem solving while we're doing this. Let me also pull up our checklist, because that's how we've been going about doing things. And let me go ahead and zoom in. But what we started with was we set up our Flask project using VN, or virtual environment, for Python instead of Conda. I was curious. I wanted to learn and see how easy it was, which actually was quite easy and much lighter as far as downloading, which I appreciated. Then we made sure that we learned a little bit about what Copilot involved, that where we used Copilot to tell us, like, what do we need for a basic application in Flask, all sorts of things. I do remember that in that first stream, people were asking about why I didn't use Fast API. And the answer was, I just had no idea it existed. So I'm hoping I'll get a chance to look into that. And if I do any future streams at Global Hack Week that involve what I would have used Flask for, maybe Fast API would be a better option. And then we started working with making sure that we had ChatGPT access. I didn't really cover that. The gist was that I went to the OpenAI developer platform, logged in, put my credit card in, got $10 on my account, and then just started fiddling from there when I got the secret key. The sound is warbling and cutting in and out. It could be my fan. It's really, really warm in my office because I live in a very hot place and it is summer. So hopefully this kind of fixes it. But if you do find that there's like audio or visual issues, do not hesitate to let me know. I will do my best to fix what I can. It could be also signal issues, but if somebody else wants to chime in and let me know if that is the case for them as well, that would help me, like, again, debug and make sure things are good. Yeah. So as else we're doing, I did say, like, hey, here's some things that I've seen and things I came up with prior to the stream. It does sound in and out. Okay. Let me see if perhaps maybe it's just my fan. That's good. Maybe something. That's fine. Audio that is using Hmm. Uh,
Let's see if that works a little better, maybe? Any improvement or changes at all? Okay, fantastic. I guess I need to turn off the echo. Cool. Let me quickly run back from the beginning in case you didn't catch everything. Have I been underwater this whole time? Like every stream? People haven't. You know what? It's okay. That's okay. It happens. Right. So we started the first workshop, and that was not the data one. That's separate. The first workshop, we went over with setting up an environment, getting access to OpenAI and ChatGPT, figuring out what that meant and what we wanted to do, and then looking at preliminary projects. So a lot of projects I see when I go to events, while innovative and great, I would love to see new ideas. I see a lot of resume reviewers, interview prep, um, and I'm joking when I say everyone does this, therefore no one do this. What I mean by that is I want to challenge you to go beyond that. If you really want to do a resume reviewer, like do something else that is more than just like a resume reviewer. I've seen someone like for like a cover letter, they're told like write a creative cover letter, and they're like, or write an innovative cover letter or something. And so they used ChatGPT because it was innovative in that regard, and they said I used ChatGPT for this because blah 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 blah. So lots of ways you can revolutionize even the project ideas that coaches tend to see a lot. And that's not to say they're bad, they're great learning experiences. But again, my hope is to challenge you to do something better than these, to go beyond what we know as commonplace, because we want to give you an edge and really be considered when you're winning, or to win a prize. Um, so sorry if my English is not making sense. It's been a long day too. To add insult to injury, but it'd be like that. We work through it. You know, we're in a hackathon mindset. We're figuring it out. Something else that came up was answering like Jeopardy questions or coming up with questions. I see this a lot as far as like study review or ways to review information in your class. I've seen other summarizers as far as note taking or like condensing your Canvas, all sorts of things. And so with this Jeopardy question one, this was meant to be more of a fun idea that was actually come up with by my partner, who, when I was like, I need ideas, like what would I use ChatGPT for? They said, well, Jeopardy questions. And I'm like, ew. I don't like that idea. But it's still a valid idea. You can still come up with questions and answers. But then you have the question of like, well, what if these answers are wrong? So you do have to introduce some form of way of validating what you're giving, both as a user playing the Jeopardy game created by ChatGPT, but also as far as ChatGPT giving you answers, which again may or may not be right. Something that I came up with was travel suggestions. I travel a lot as an MLH coach, and I'm like, I really would like to have less misery while traveling, in the sense of like sometimes I'm not prepared well enough, or sometimes when I am preparing, I have a bajillion tabs open. I'm like, I don't want to have a bajillion tabs. Just give me the like all the information I need all at once. I've also seen a very successful project where I really liked it as far as me being a PhD student, that it summarized papers, which I really liked. But the way that they made it unique was that they actually, it wasn't like a web app or anything, it was a phone notification app where it would go through archive and it would give summaries of like the top 5 papers of the day, and you'd get a summary sentence on your notifications on your screen of your phone, and you could be able to like tap that notification if you wanted to learn more, which I thought was brilliant because I'm terrible at reading papers every day. I read them in like chunks, like one day a week maybe, and it's more like, you know, a couple days a month. But like I read a lot of papers in that constrained time when I could just be reading like one paper a day, which is a much more reasonable way of consuming information. And then, of course, we have the general QA, which is just that your interactions with ChatGPT as you do on the OpenAI website, not so much the docs, where you ask it a question and it gives you its best answer based on what you've prompted. So, with all these different possibilities of ideas, what more could you possibly come up with? Obviously, since this is not the stream at the correct time, different people who wanted to show up are obviously here. Some people are very much asleep. So I'm very sorry that I didn't get a chance to demonstrate what people have been working on independently, because I did challenge people to like work on the project on their own. I do hope that maybe I can see it in a future stream, just being like, hey, remember that ChatGPT one? Here's this thing. I'd love to see it. Or like, I'll find out somehow, maybe. I'll keep an eye on Discord. You can see the past recordings on YouTube. If you go to the Major League Hacking YouTube channel, I believe all of the recordings are there. I've noticed some people saying that Twitch doesn't necessarily have all the recordings. Go figure, who knows? I can't really answer that, but that's how you'd be able to catch the rest. So if you do feel behind in this last one, don't fret. You have the other 2 to work through. And there's also the GitHub link that I shared earlier, which I'll put back on screen in a little bit, that you're welcome to fork it and get all those commits. Um, oh yeah, as far as ideas for how I can see your projects, if you are watching this after the fact, just like at Cecilia from MLH, my Discord name, and I'll come check it out when I next log into that side of the Discord and take a look at your projects and see how far you came. But no pressure. You're not obligated to do that. It's okay. But yeah, and then of course somebody already shared it. Thank you so much, Sparky, for showing the YouTube link for MLH. Okay, so let's actually get into doing things. So for part one, became part one and two because of bugs. It happens. Happens to the best of us. Copilot was unfortunately not helpful because it was a weird bug that it didn't tell us it was a bug, but it was a bug and we didn't understand it. So we ended up linking everything together. That's all on GitHub, which let me go ahead and pull back up. So that's all on GitHub. You're welcome to fork the repo. But what we're doing now is we are scoping this project, cleaning it up, making sure that it's actually something that we can use. And so some leftovers from last stream was to change it where every time we open the server and work with it, it will create a new file tracking our chat history with ChatGPT. Great. Files get really cluttered, and there are many ways you can go ahead and store data. Someone mentioned a session in the previous workshop as a way of managing local cache. Great idea, just not in the scope of the project and what I wanted to do for the workshop, but that is a great challenge for you to do on your own. Something that I came up with was just converting that like saving to files bit to making it a dictionary. And the reason, like whether it's a list or a dictionary, because I clearly misspelled that, let's go fix that. Whether it's a list of things, which we kind of have now, or it's a dictionary, in which case we can now better piece out who said what, when, other information maybe we want to have. And my hope is if we still have time, we'll clean up the HTML, add some CSS, and maybe adapt. I'll actually move this one earlier since, again, we have some less people here today, so I think we'll actually get through quite a bit. We'll put the travel variant, or if chat decides to come up with a new project idea for how we might like revolutionize our use of ChatGPT at a hackathon, I'll definitely take that into consideration, so feel free to dump those in whenever you have an idea. And we'll come back to that when we finally come to this step. But my hope is just to clean up the code, make it more understanding, and then also show how you can adapt just this basic skeleton into something that you could make and, again, grow beyond our wildest dreams. And then, of course, we'll close it out with demoing it as we would any hackathon. And at that point, we'll wonder, like, how do we make ours unique? How do we really sell how good this project can be, right? Recognizing that instead of the 24 hours or even 12 hours if you go to sleep, which would be smart, and a hackathon, that we only really had like 6. and there's always debugging happening whether you're live or not. So coming back to the code, I'll go ahead and walk you through what was there. We don't actually need this file. But we imported all these libraries. We loaded our API key using .env. We set up our client, which also we learned about more how it works in the past workshops. You're welcome to check those out. And then we gave a name to the bot that we don't necessarily use, but we also defined different roles that it would have, whether it's a wiki bot, a travel bot, a game bot. And so in our case, we have a wiki bot to start. And again, so right here is where we have the file-based approach to things, where we've set up having an output that we keep the log of, and then it saves it in our local directory, which I don't believe it has any in here because it hasn't saved it. Fine. I think I deleted it when I was cleaning up stuff for Git when I was pushing earlier. But the way this works currently is it says every time we start the server, create a new file that will become our chat history. So we're going to change that a little bit so that way we can maybe make a JSON or something a little easier to work with if we wanted to pull that file elsewhere. Whether it becomes a JSON or not, I can't guarantee. We'll see how things go. But at the very least, I would very much like to switch this to a dictionary for the sake of having more control over my data. And this is where it actually creates the file. And so you'll see that I initialized the chat history with the wiki role. And so this could change based on how I set things up. But because it's the wiki role, I'm now somewhat preceding the API or the ChatGPT instance, because when I finally come to accessing this function, it will already have that in its chat history. And so that's because we initialized it. So because it has that in its history, it'll be able to think about things or answer us in the prompts that we've described. And this is how you get into these very custom chatbots or custom projects that use ChatGPT that are like the resume reviewer. And so you might have, again, these resume reviewers will be like given a job description and a resume, revise the resume to better fit the job description without falsifying information. And so preceding that prompt, it's like, okay, I'm expecting a resume, I'm expecting a job description, and I know that I'm going to have to output the resume in some specific format, in which case you can specify more about it or maintain that the resume shouldn't change in length, all sorts of descriptions, which is somewhat what's coming here. And so there's all these different adjustments you can make to the API. We also have this get chat, which we've made it adaptable in that it doesn't matter if we have the wiki role, the game role, or the travel role, or any other role we come up with, that it's still versatile enough if we want to save information. This is where we'll spend our time today in adapting it to becoming a dictionary, because this is where it saves it all as a file. So we'll come back to that. And then, of course, we have the route itself, which is where we're submitting a form that I'll pull up shortly. And then that form, let me also go ahead and change that. Let's see if that works. But in having a form, we're getting the message from this index page, this for, where you see the ID, the for, the name, etc. And so once we get that information from the form, we're going to go ahead and pass it into that get chat function that we saw earlier, which not only did it save the information to chat history, it also showed us the past messages in our HTML, which we can come back and we can see. It actually shows it above. I had wanted to toy with the idea of switching the order around, just to show the versatility. I didn't actually get it working, but I think with a dictionary, we could if we wanted to. It really depends on what your UX is going to look like. And so I'm thinking more like, if I were to make this a typical ChatGPT project, I might want to render messages, like making it look like a text chat, say with a friend, where my text messages or my messages are on the right, and any answers from ChatGPT or questions it asks me are on the left. Maybe it includes timestamps, which is how this file is already set up. This is what I took from a tutorial that I was finding. I basically compiled a bunch of different tutorials when I was putting this workshop together, trying to rely on different things and get the initial concepts together, but then adapt it for, of course, what we need, as we would in a hackathon. So we have some leftover instructions for myself where I was making those updates that I did end up pushing to Git, which you now have access to. So again, we really don't have to spend too much time on this section. Now, if we wanted to, say, add the travel side of things, if we wanted to do the travel project, I actually don't need to think too much besides just copying this route. A lot of the structure's there, I just need to change what the route is, or what the, not the route is, well, yes, the route, but also what the bot is that I'm using. And so depending on that, that might determine what the chat history is, and so on and so forth. Especially if we're doing something maybe like an app that has multiple forms of using ChatGPT, because then if you have, say, a travel bot, a QA bot, and a wiki bot, you want to make sure that those messages don't interfere with each other. Because then you start getting weird answers. So scoping is important, and so my hope is the dictionary will help manage that to, again, make this a more unique project. Like an all-inclusive preceded ChatGPT just depends on what link you make, and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and delete these updates, because we're going to come back to that. And let me go ahead and get rid of those. That was from when I was pushing stuff earlier. My server is not started, but we'll go ahead and do that. Let me just double check. We're not changing anything yet in the HTML. This functionality does not have to change. But again, I said we would spend a lot of time in the get chat function, where we wanted to change things to a dictionary. But we actually need to start earlier to start this process. Namely being that, let's go and start looking where the files are actually created. So we have the name of the bot, we have the roles, not necessarily it. We'll come back here when we make the travel bot instructions and add that to this. But for now, no. Okay. And now we have ChatGPT output, which is where we're initializing the variables for this file and getting the current working directory, and we're naming that file itself. While I would love to just delete these things, I want to keep them around for reference, just in case I break things and I want to come back to, hey, this worked originally, let's go figure out why it's broken, etc., and so on and so forth. Then we have opening the file. Do we need that? Not particularly. We could save it later, though, or perhaps when a session has ended, however you want to designate that, whether it's that we click a done button or something else, that's how it would finish perhaps a conversation. But again, that's future ideas that you might consider as you adapt this project on your own. All right, so we currently have chat history where it sends in this array. We know that wiki role is going to have a description or a preceded prompt. And then we have the role names themselves. And so I actually think the first thing we should do is not adjust the files just yet, but adjust these roles themselves. And so this is now a dictionary. Oops. I switched my keyboard earlier to play Tetris with everybody, and I haven't switched it back. So if I typo, it's because I'm on a new keyboard again. But we have the Wikibot, and let's go ahead and move this into here. We are going to have to fix this wiki role bit and replace that, but we'll come back to that because that's going to give us an error later, so we'll go follow and fix that one up. We're going to need something for travel bot, and we'll leave that as empty quotes for now, as well as the game bot, which maybe we come up with a different name or something else. But now we have the roles dictionary. It seems like Copilot is also giving us some ideas, or we could do a news bot, a weather bot, a finance bot, oh no, come back. No, come back. There was great ideas there. I wanted to read them. Yeah, sure. Tell me more. Here we go. Health, sports, food, music, movie, book, history, science, tech, and so much more. So Copilot might actually be pretty good at giving you some more ideas on how you want to do things. But for now, like I said, let's stick to the 3 of them. Also, if you have questions, feel free to ask them. I don't expect there to be too many questions tonight, which, again, totally fine. But if you do have questions after the fact, I encourage you to ask fellow hackers. I think they might be able to give you a lot of great insight, especially after spending this week at Global Hack Week. Let's see. So we know that we introduced a bug when we got rid of wiki roles. So first, let's see where roles is used. And right now, it's not used at all. Okay, that's what we expected. Let's go to wiki role. So that was used in initializing the chat history. So what we actually need is roles wikibot. And now that will actually get what we have. Let's go see where else this is used. It's not. Okay, so we fixed any dependency errors, but as a sanity check, let's go ahead and run our server. Okay, and I'm going to ask it about dogs, as always, because I love dogs. So, great. So it actually spits out our first prompt. Do I actually want it to be telling users you are not an AI model? Not particularly. So we'll come back and fix that. We'll get there. But we also have where the user says dogs, and then the bot tells us, of course, what's going on. Excuse me. And then you can visit the Wikipedia page because I asked for sources. Cool. That looks awesome. Let's go ahead and quit that server. Great. So now we have the files themselves that we want to fix. And let's see. We could save the file for later. So let's go look at when history file is used. It should all be in the get chat. So we don't need to pay too much attention for right now, but we'll come back. So we have chat history, and if I were to change this, let's see if Copilot will do it for us. Change chat history from a list. Is that what I actually have? I don't remember. Let's move up a bit. I have it, yes, I have it as a list. To a dictionary. Just because I'm curious what it'll give us. Like I could think about it, but maybe it might give us a little bit. Okay, so it gave us Wikibot, and it gave us the new line, which, thinking about how this might be rendered, I want to keep whatever the whatever the messenger's name is, whether it's Wikibot or the user, and then I want to keep what their message is. Do I need to include a new line? Probably not. However, are there other things I might want to consider, like having a timestamp for it? And the other question is if this is the same dictionary structure, name, message, timestamp, then would I want to have this be a list of dictionary items or a list of objects even? Or do I want this to be a dictionary of dictionaries? That doesn't make as much sense. So let's try it out instead where let's discard this because I don't like it. Let's just type it out here where we look at the original, what's it called? The original line. And so because I'm doing this as it's going to be an array of entries that are dictionaries, we'll keep the array part of it. But we'll change this to be name because it will vary based on who says things. And let's see what Copilot says. We have name, we have role, we have chat history. That's not super accurate of what we need yet. But if we're initializing our chat history, we actually need to adjust it that we are actually writing the initial dictionary itself. So we have the name, and now it's giving us a lot better. So it's giving us its name is bot, it's giving us the initial message. I'm okay with that. And so here's another question. As we append things, we're going to be continually adding things to the end of the list. Great. But remember how we had that prompt show up in our history when we just rendered it on the HTML side? So when we're rendering chat history, do we want to exclude that first message? Probably. Does that mean we should also add a new message that says, what do you want to ask? Possibly. That might be something we leave a comment for. Should we add another message asking the user to provide a question? And this depends on how we want to render it HTML-wise or otherwise. So we'll hold off on that for the sake of getting basic functionality. We can clean up the data later. And if we don't get to it, at least it works, so to speak. Okay, so we have the chat history, we have the initial message where we've seeded the, what's it called? We have seeded the AI, or did some some initial prompt seeding. And then what I also want to do, excuse me, it is late, my fault. Looking at chat history. So we've changed this to be a dictionary. How does this get rendered as a string? How do we change this format, especially if as we add messages as we go, maybe we want ChatGPT to understand a different chat history than what we render on HTML. And so this becomes a question of how the messages parameter works as far as OpenAI. And at this point, I kind of want to double check. So we'll go to the docs on OpenAI. Let's go to the docs. I'm going to move it over in just a moment. I just want to pull up the chat completions function, and then I want to look at here. Okay, so each message object has a role, such as system, user, assistant. So it seems like there's only 3, and then it says content. So it seems like we already have role as system and user back and forth. Okay. Coming back to this, system message is optional and can be used to set the behavior of the assistant. Okay, so that's where we would be passing in that original prompt. Do we need to include it in the dictionary? Probably not. So maybe that's something we fix later where we double check. But the thing is, it already has chat history as far as the conversation history. Oh, my window changed, so I don't know what I'm looking at. Right. But the thing is, this first system, I see what's going on. I didn't explain this very well in the previous workshop. But what's going on is when we've set this to system and we're setting the behavior, by feeding it its chat history, which includes the prompt seeding, it now has the context of the conversation, much like we would normally use ChatGPT, just normally, right? And then this is what we've added where it needs to respond to that. I don't think we need to change that too much, which is what we expected. But what I really want to do is learn more about the messages object itself, where I want to go say, how does this work? And it looks like we have a few default bits of information here, where they've given the role, system, and added the content where they say you're a helpful assistant. Given the user content of who won the World Series in 2020, an assistant might answer the Los Angeles Dodgers won the World Series, and then a user might follow up and ask where was it played. Okay, seems fine. But the way that we're working with it, we only really need the first 2, and we're just changing what the question is so long as the content is the previous chat history. Is it the best way to use it? Probably not. For the purposes of a hackathon, should be fine. But let's just double check to make absolutely sure. An example API response. I wish I could see what it looks like. Oh, goodness. As far as a JSON request, if I were to change this to it. Let's see. I don't actually see it in here, but perhaps Google can help us. ChatGPT API. I was looking for JSON output example. And this is chat completions. Let me add that in. Okay. So if I've set the response format to a JSON, I wish I could get a rendered example. Ah, okay. This is where they've passed it in, but they haven't said where an output looks like. Oh, goodness. I think this is not perhaps the. Let's go to this forum. Maybe it was the response format and I didn't realize. Ah, structured outputs guide. Let's open that in the new tab really quick. But it is response format. All 3.5 turbo noodles, models, not noodles, newer than 3.5 turbo 11.6. I think we just have the most recent, yeah, we have the most recent model. Let's go look at the structured output. Using a JSON schema response format. Response format is suitable for when the model responds to user rather than when the model calls the tool. So this might be for more aptly for if we wanted customized responses that we wanted to always come out a certain way. So I don't think this actually meets what our need is. Yeah, for example, math tutoring, you want the assistant to respond to user using a specific JSON schema to generate a UI displaying different parts of the model output in distinct ways. Oh, maybe this is what we need. Connecting model to tools, functions, data, etc. You should use the function calling. If you want to structure the model's output when it responds, you should use a structured response format. So this is actually really informative, again, for that separation point of post this workshop. We want to, hello, Peanut, welcome. My cat has come to say hello, but she's under the desk at the moment. But when you're connecting the model to anything that you're going to render after that, they say use function calling. I would want to know what that looks like. Maybe that's what we should have been doing this whole time. Interesting. I see. So this is how they've done it as a function, where they call it a tool, they pass in the function that they're using, and then they've passed in some preliminary information, and then they get that response and print it out. Okay. I'm probably not going to implement that today, but that's good to know for the future. What we're doing, the response format makes more sense, where we want to structure what we're getting as an output. That said, I still think I'm going to save this for later, because I just want to get a basic dictionary. And again, proof of concept, see that this works. But let's go ahead and minimize that and come back to our original point, which is that we're changing this file stuff, or these like timestamps, and adding this to a dictionary instead. So we can actually just change a little bit. So right now this has chat history append. The difference is that now the way that this works is that it's got user and input. We don't have a consistent dictionary, and that we're not going to have timestamps so much for that prompt. And maybe that's something we can check as well, that if there's no timestamp, well, then we really shouldn't, have that rendered in our index file. But let's go ahead and again, okay, so they're giving us that F name. I don't think that's the accurate thing, because let me double check again. Yes, we do have a list, so let's go ahead and add the next dictionary. And we know that we're going to have a name, and it's going to be user messages input. Okay, great. Let's also add in a timestamp, where time is current time. Fantastic. Let's go put that in quotes. And it looks like we also have the day. So let's go ahead and add that in for logical current day and comma. Yes. Okay, so now we have our timestamp for this user-based input, and then the next time that we have it in the chat history append. So let's go ahead and copy this, paste this, and then we leave those timestamps as it is. I think it's fine. Maybe we might get these things again, or at least the time, and maybe update that. So let's go ahead and add that in again. And we have yet another call to current time, which hopefully should update it, in which case it's using updated versions of things. And then rather than do user input, we want the chat output. And so we'll leave that as it is. I didn't spell that right. That's okay. We'll paste that there. And then what did we use for the bot? I'm pretty sure it was just bot, which we do have its name earlier. Yeah, name is bot. Let's just use name, where this this is now replaced with a variable in case we want to change it later. Good for longevity. And let's also change this to whatever the bot name is. Perhaps we want to change that later or have that even be a form input. And then we could have it update our rendering. All right, so I haven't really commented out the original things, and I'm only going to do it just to, again, proof of concept, show how things have changed. I don't want to change the output. I want to change this append. Did we cancel out that dictionary instance? We did not. Shame. Let's go ahead and comment that out. Okay, so we have the new dictionaries, etc. This one is separate where it's just appending that. I actually think that's fine because then we can have a file that's kept separately, and then we have our dictionary that actually is going to be used for rendering, that will be dumped once we're done. As this message system gets larger and larger, the dictionary is not the most efficient solution, just because it'll have all that data in memory when it maybe should be pulling from a file or database or other places that would be better. Again, such as the session history where we want it to, disappear after a session ends, and so on and so forth. All right, but it looks like that we spit out the raw output. Fine, that shouldn't change in how things are rendered. We have wiki. Okay, let's go humor me and run this server. I don't actually know that this is gonna work. Let's do docs as always. Yeah, there was definitely gonna be an issue. That's okay. Expected string instance, dict found. Fair. We did technically change some things, but we didn't necessarily update other instances of it. So let's go to that line. That is line 73, where we say, hey, ChatGPT, go call your chat completion function that we have further up. Originally, we were doing this array join as a string using just blank spaces. That's fine and all, but that doesn't really work anymore. So do we introduce a function that would stringify everything, and then we have complete control about what we're rendering, or do we just try and use it to string function of some sort? I'm going to try it. I don't think this is going to work, but I wonder how it would change the answer that it gives us. So let's do, I'm searching this on Google, Python dictionary to string, just because I'm curious what we can do. Looks like we can import JSON. All the way to the top. Import JSON. And then we're going to go down to that string and I want to learn more about the JSON dumps Python. Is it just output something or is it in place? JSON dumps will convert subset of Python objects to a string. Is it in place though? This is not the documentation I wished for. JSON.dumps print. Yes, I believe it should. Yes. Let's. We're gonna do something gross. Hang on. It is called. Where is it called again? It's called here. Let's name it string history. Come up here. String history. Ah, Copilot did it for me. But did it actually do it in a way that makes sense? We're gonna find out. Let's go ahead and go back. Search for dogs. I'm suspicious. Okay, so this is what we have as our chat history. That's fine. We have the timestamp. Awesome. We have our message, which includes the bot part of it. We may need to get rid of that, but it still gives us the same information. Pages on dogs. Actually, does this link? I've always been curious if they're going to give me false links. They did not. Awesome. That means it's working the way I want it to. But it looks like this is the whole thing. And this is, again, where that response format would come in and help and split this up a little bit, where we'd get this answer and perhaps be able to split it into render your sources in this tag, render your message in this, and so on and so forth. That maybe if we have a list of sources, we'd be able to use it. So let's go fix some things. Being that cool, we did get a JSON dump of history. Fine. We're going to have to fix the rendering. We'll get there. What I was going to fix was removing this part because we don't need to add bot to the beginning of it anymore. Specifically, if we're using a dumps call, it will automatically include that a little bit. We'll already have the name when we're doing the rendering, so it's not necessary anymore. Let's see. Where would we... Where would bot be added? So we have chat history, name. Oh, I see. ChatGPT output. We don't need it here anymore. Yes. Let's see if that actually changes it. I think we need to do one more fix, but I want to see it in action before we go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and refresh. Let's see that it works. Okay, we have... I want the original. We have the preceded. We have the time. Let's double check. Cool. And then we have the message, and bots is no longer at the beginning. Perfect. Okay. We are getting there. So let's go fix the rendering so we can actually interpret what we're getting at. And then we'll go ahead and fix that early prompt where we don't want people including that, or we don't want to see that. But let me go ahead and double check. Yeah, it's a quiet chat today. That's totally fair. It is late at night for me. It might be very early morning for others, depending on where they're going. Okay, so originally, let me go ahead and explain this part. We've talked about this a little bit in past streams, but again, if you haven't been, no biggie. So originally I have 3 parameters that I'm passing in, where I'm getting message, which is I'm getting this from the form down here, okay? And then we have getting the message from the Wikipedia bot or ChatGPT, where we're passing it in here. And Wiki isn't really used anywhere. We don't actually even need it if we don't want to. But it is calling this getChat that eventually populates our chat history that is a global variable for the purposes of this work. Is it preferred? No, don't do this way. However, we still need to call this. So maybe instead we leave this as it is, even though I don't like it. But we come back to that past messages, where this is looking for if message exists. So if somebody has asked a question, there are better ways to refer to this, by the way. There's better tagging we could use. For message and past messages, so as long as there's a history of something, once the user has sent their first question, then go ahead and render the message as a header 2. And otherwise the for loop is done. Otherwise, don't render anything. Rather, render no answers yet. Awesome. So we now have a JSON. Well, we have a list of objects, if we want to consider it that way. I don't want to do it that way. So I'm wondering if we can take the individual pieces of it. I don't quite remember, but I'm pretty sure... let's see. Get the name property and the message object. Let's see if it will do it for me. Because I don't necessarily remember. I want to Google it, but I'm trying to be better about being a little more active about using Copilot and ChatGPT just to help me along. Even though it's not necessarily going to give me the right answer, it might be a little faster than me searching it. Okay, so apparently I can use the dot feature for accessing this object. Awesome. Let's also then do a paragraph where it gives me the message dot... What did we name this again? We gave it the object... I'm pretty sure just message. If I can find this file. Yeah, message. Message.message. That's not confusing at all. We should clean that up at some point, but that's probably not for this workshop. And then maybe I want the timestamp perhaps rendered differently. So I don't know that I want this in a span, but maybe I actually want to put this in a div. For rendering, to fix the rendering a little later. But now we have a header 2, we have the paragraph. I really want that timestamp though. Let's leave this as message.day. Let's leave this as a paragraph, even though I don't necessarily want to. And we'll also add that in the same line and do message.time. Okay. And for for. We don't need 2 for loops, and we don't need this anymore. We've ended the else statement. That is still the same. Let's go make sure this still works. I am not certain that it will because Copilot is not always great at answering things. So let's go ahead and ask it about cats this time. Where is my cat? I think she finally left. Okay, hey, that looks so much easier to read now. We don't want to include this, but that's something we can do on the back end side, the Flask side. But now we have the user said cats. I'm a terrible user. I'm very rude. But we now have a timestamp for our message, and we have the bot, and we also have a timestamp for its message, which, even though it's quite quick, it does have a little bit of a change in time. The smart thing to do would actually be to also include the day, but I was lazy and I did not check that the day is still the same. I'm assuming this hacker is working at normal working hours or relatively normal working hours, and therefore we're being nice and assuming that they have a normal sleep schedule. They probably don't. I will not have a normal sleep schedule after night. But yeah, so now this is so much easier to read. I like looking at this already. It's so much better. Do I want to keep the timestamp there? I think it depends. So I'm thinking about this from this perspective of like when I'm on my phone and I'm texting people, I can tap a message and see what the timestamp of a message is. But when I'm working with like chatbots or I'm working with customer service, I notice that the date time is always above the message I send, and sometimes it's to the left of the message I send. So I could put it anywhere across a message, except like in the message itself. I don't really know where I want to put this yet, so I think it'll stay on the bottom for now. But now, let's go fiddle with CSS, where I will have less success, I think. But let's give this a class name, where this will be response. This will be timestamp, if I can spell, which I can't. That's okay. Oh, I forgot to move this caret. That's why. Let's go put that there. We don't need this. You're being too helpful, but thank you. And then let's change this header to be class is equal to role. Okay, so now that we have some CSS going on, there's a couple ways to do this, I think. The way that I'm most familiar with working with Jinja and Flask and all that stuff is I tend to actually include the CSS in like I could do an inline file, I could do a script file where it calls the CSS styles, which I have this static folder that I could use. I just want to test that things render correctly before I start moving things and then writing it and then finding out it doesn't work. So we're going to take some baby steps, and we're going to say, I want Copilot to do this. Render the messages. Wait. Yeah. Render. Oops, that's a find. Render using inline CSS. Make each message look like a text bubble. I'm curious what it's going to give me. I don't know that it'll actually do things the way I want. But I mean, that's what we're trying it out. We're seeing what ChatGPT will give us and how it changes our outcome. Because at the end of the day, a lot of hackers are going to be using Copilot on the fly, and some may not. There are different, like, I guess, thought patterns of using it, where some people think it's cheating, and I'm like, I don't really think that it is cheating. As long as you understand what's coming out of it, then it's not really cheating if you're using the resource that's available to you. Oh, that was actually very nice. Ooh. Ooh. I didn't even have to think about that. Oh no, I'm so sorry that you were sick. You could be able to watch, you're going to be able to watch the streams as the recording. I'm using Copilot, and we just said it wasn't cheating. I would not have been able to come with the CSS this quickly, and I just wanted to test it. There's more problems to solve, but I think the best way to approach this is exactly what I'm doing. Like, having a less active chat is actually very nice because it means I can solve problems faster instead of like, answer chat question, debug, answer chat question, be stuck on debug. Which that's not to say the questions are bad. I love explaining answers if I have the answer, or at least searching an answer during streams. But you'll notice the way that I'm solving these things is I'm taking the larger idea of what I want to do and chopping it into the tiniest thing I can possibly do. What is the bare minimum that I have the skill to do or the resource that I can access to do? And so that's actually why this stream is going a lot faster than the past ones, just because my attention is not as distracted. That's not to say again that I don't love an active chat. I actually really prefer an active chat because it's a lot more fun. But let's go ahead and unpack what the CSS is doing, because I just said we're not cheating because we want to understand what's going on. I want to learn from this, right? And I want you all to learn as well. So I said I used some key terms in this. I said, Copilot, give me inline CSS. I didn't say give me a script, give me a new file, give me like CSS in like a subsection or something. Or I didn't use those keywords. I said inline because I just wanted to see, does it work? Can it render it? And then I can start moving things. So it gives us a background color of light blue. It gives us some paddings, border radius, and I'm going to tell you right off the bat, this is not accessible. It's not adaptive. It's not responsive. Could I change this to be responsive? I wonder if Copilot would do it. But again, we have to think about this question. If we're in a hackathon, do we have time? Probably not. Does it work? Yes. Therefore, like, it's fine. It ain't broke. Don't fix it. But in our case, we're just proof of concepting this. For now, it's fine. It works. Yeah, I would probably break if I pulled it up on my phone, but that's okay. I guess my cat wasn't here. I guess she was behind me and I didn't realize because she just left, like actually left. But okay, so we have more about how this looks with this this blue background. The rounded corners is that border radius. Which looks great, honestly. Thank you very much, Copilot. That looks awesome. We also have this padding. Tell me more about this padding. So if we weren't going to include padding, this text might actually be a little closer to these edges. So a lot of people who start off with CSS are very confused with margin and padding. To be honest, it messed with me for a very long time, and every so often I Google it because I don't know. Margin is the space outside of an object, whereas padding is a space inside an object. Because I've made this a div, we have the inside of the div that has some padding inside. Think of it like you're packing a box with padding before you put a laptop in that you're shipping. So you want to ensure that there is safe spaces, air, between what your content is and what the borders of the box is, or whatever your container is. Margin is the space between those boxes that you've packed, the space between those boxes. So now you have multiple padded boxes that want to be separated, and that's margin. Or like, which is not like a great representation when you think about like the margins in a document, because it's the opposite concept. It's gross. I hate that sometimes. But cool. So let's go ahead and go back to our code. We're gonna leave that as is because it's pretty, it works, I don't care. Well, not that I don't care, it just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We can talk about responsive styling some other day. In fact, another MLHer can talk about it, and I guarantee they will do a much better job than I will, because I still don't understand it. I'm still researching it, because I'm like, what? Tech keeps changing. But that's okay. I'll learn it eventually. Cool. So we have the response. We didn't get any styling on the timestamp or the role, but I did say just style the messages as if it was a text message. What else can I do? Well, I could fix it that maybe I have a profile picture and the user and the bot, and that they're rendered on opposite sides. So is Jinja able to do that kind of rendering where it skips every other with the way that we're doing these things? I don't actually know. So we're gonna take the easy out and we're gonna go fix that prompt where I just don't like how we keep including that. And the gross way to do it, which is still Pythonic, is to take a splice where we're going to take, we're not going to reverse it, but we are just going to skip the first one. I'm going to very quickly see how that looks, because I just want to make sure that we don't include the bot yet. Let's go ahead and talk about cats again. Hello, you're back. Is it because I said cats? I know, it's past my bedtime, but that's okay. We have people to teach, we have to teach them how to code. I'm being herded. Okay. But now we don't have that prompt anymore. Yay, great. That means people will not be able to see what we preceded. Very good habit. You can if you want, but it's not good design to keep it in. Cool. Right. So we have this nicely working. I love that. Hi, Peanut. You want to say hi? You want to hop up? Hello. Say hi to chat. Here's my kitty. She's come to code with us. She's just like, why are you not in bed? Why are you not getting ready to go to bed? Why are you doing this to me? She's the best debugger. She's my rubber duck in cat form. Do you want to solve my issues? No, you want cuddles. Okay, that's okay. Let's get back to it though, where I don't like how much space there is between the timestamp and the bot. So let's work on shrinking that. There are some default stylings when it comes to CSS that automatically include some margins. You'll see her tail going around and probably hear her as she brushes against the mic. Hello, child. You're not sorry. I'm sorry, but I must tell you, you must stop. I know you're very excited about this, but we cannot have you doing that. You have been ejected. I'm sorry. I know. I'm sorry. She'll come back. Right. So there's some default styling, and there's ways you can get rid of it. Where I think I will go and see if Copilot will actually do it. It's not add inline. What's the word again? Types of CSS. Inline, external. Inline, internal, and external. That's what it is. Where inline is what we just did. Internal means the CSS is in the same file, and external means that the CSS is in a completely different file. Go ahead and use add CSS and internal CSS to remove default CSS configurations. Let's see what it does. I don't think I explained that very well. Oh, here we go. Oh no, it's going. That's quite long. I don't know why you gave me that, but you know what? I appreciate you starting the work for me. The main thing I was looking at is that in the body, they set the margin and the padding to 0. That's some of the default CSS styling that comes natively, just in general, where there's automatically going to be some margin and some padding in everything that you do. Great, grand, wonderful, but that gives us too big of a margin when we're working with the space between user and the message, or bot and the message. So let's accept this because it's fine. But we are going to move some things. Let's get rid of these. I don't want any of these. We'll come back to those. I just wanted to change the margins on other things, though. I just wanted to prove that it existed, which is fine. I mean, we did that. She's still at my feet. All right, we're gonna change the margins on this header 2, where we want the header 2 that to be selected. We're gonna ignore padding, and we're gonna change margin to 2 pixels. And we're gonna get rid of this font family for now. I will have to restart the server all the time, which is kind of gross. I forgot if oh yeah, so here's the downside. We see all these chat histories for every time I've restarted the server, which not great. I did do this. How do I enable this? I did set it to true. You're not working the way I wanted you to. Oh well, that's fine. Continue. Go ahead and send it again because I don't mind. All right, margin hasn't seemed to have changed. Let's change this to role, where it's a dot role because it's a class that I'm using. What's the margin on this? It's just the padding. Let's also make the timestamp, because we want both of them to have them. margin. Let's do an all-around margin and keep it at that. What else? Let's see. How do we make this really stand out? Oh, that's right. We were gonna look at alternate messages or Ninja 2 and CSS. Let's see what it gives us. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to have it tell us how to separate the messages themselves. I don't know that this is actually a capability of Jinja though. Yeah, this is not working the way I wanted. Okay, let's do Jinja 2 for loop. Select 2 at a time. We are at the hour, so we're almost due for a break, but how can I, let's, template code, rendered, option value, this isn't helping. That's not it. Show me examples of. Let's also make sure that something else is in. Okay. And let's zoom in so people can read. Okay, so we have a normal loop structure when it comes to Jinja 2. And normally we have for some item in a collection similar to Python. Yes, we've been using it this way. What if, oh, this is how we would manage it. We would use an if statement. Why didn't I think of that? That was silly. Flooring over dictionaries, which we did, that's fine. I don't know why I forgot I could just do that. Gosh. Yeah, that works. Okay. Let's add an if statement. Yeah, there we go. Copilot knew what we were talking about. Just didn't do it right. No, we didn't want that. If, this should be an else if. I think it's the same here. Is it elif or? It'll correct us. Let's go ahead and move this and put that here and then put that there. And then, so if it's user, give it that. Let's do light green. That's not very, yeah, it's fine. But it'll look the same otherwise. And then what we wanted to do is we actually want things to be left or right aligned. I don't necessarily remember how to do that. So let's ask Copilot again and say align the response right. Why did you give me all of that? That's not what I wanted. No, thank you, Copilot. I don't think you're doing this right. Let's go back to the div and then align right, CSS. Oh, so this is the text align, but I also kind of want to move the bubble itself to the right. So let's change it to be align text and bubble and message bubble to the right, ensuring the div only takes up the right 2/3 of the screen. Let's see if that is actually better because it's more descriptive than what we had. Okay, so it's saying align right, give it a width. I don't think this is actually going to fix it, but let's see how it works. Let's go ahead and accept it. We have if message. Let's go ahead and indent this so we can actually read this. And then this, we're going to have to add this down here. Move that in. Yes, okay. And the for loop, and then otherwise do that. Okay, let's go back and see what happened. But let's also make sure we have difference in that. And then let's also duplicate this because we want to see the differences, right? And let's align this left and have it be that 2/3. Okay, let's go ahead and write Flask run. I'm wondering if there was a way to automatically encase links with href attributes if it is seen in the bot responses so that a user can just click the link in the responses. That's a great question. Um, hmm. My initial thought is to like self scrape, I guess. Like I would be looking for, I would use a regex to find a URL. But the thing is, you're like, what would the end of the URL be? What? Well, I mean, technically the answer is the like bracket, right? Um, so I'd probably like split that. But maybe there's like a better way. So then again, of course, if we did the response formats like JSON schema, we would actually be able to separate the link and say like links, array of like strings or whatever, and then we automatically can reference those, or add the reference to them and make them active links, which would be great. Depending on how much time we have, we may or may not do that. I kind of want to now because this keeps coming up, and I'm like, I think it would make our lives so much easier. I just don't know. I don't know. Well, let's. I mean, I also encourage you, like, go Google it or ask ChatGPT and see if like what are the answers they come up with and share with chat. Because like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of different ways you could probably do it. Let's go ahead and open that. Oh no, server error. Oh, it's because it should be elif, not elsif. Lol. Let's go ahead and Flask run. And let's go ahead and run that again. Nope, still no. Expected expression got end of statement block. What did you expect? Oh, it's because it should have been an else. Duh. I know how conditions work. Apparently not. Let's go ahead and hit refresh. There we go. What's an animal we can use? Tell me what dinos. Ooh, it didn't do the color bit. Is it because I didn't use the correct name? Let's see. Do we ever? Oh, that's right. It's capital U, user. Let's do that. Okay, let's go ahead and reset that. Refresh. JK, let's go do that again. I don't think it worked. Nope, didn't work. Alright, why didn't you work? If message role is user. Is that what we called it? We called it name. That's what's wrong. That should be name. See, this is why, as much as Copilot is great and it works great sometimes it just really misses the boat on that one. And it introduces bugs that you don't realize come up, which has actually been the largest issue in these streams that I've been making, where I have Copilot do things great, but it's not perfect, and I always end up missing things. Like the first issue we had on the first workshop was that I didn't add the post request from the form because I just assumed it was correct. Hey, now we have the colors fixed. Okay, cool. That looks great. I like that. Let's keep asking it something just to make sure it works. We haven't really tested beyond that. What if I want to know about what came before? Tell me about crabs. I don't know about what crabs. Okay, so we still have the same history. I don't like that it like pushes us to the top of the screen, but I think that's just the reload of the form. But now we have this. It's not doing the 2/3 rendering. I think that's because it didn't. And I don't think it's actually. Yeah, let's go back and take a look. Okay. The text align is obviously not it. We've given the width of the div, but we haven't actually done anything with like, oh, hey, hello. Hello. This is why we can't have nice things. I know. I'm getting so upset about Code Peanut. Can you tell them to put the divs in correctly? Can you correct Copilot for me? I have only received wines. Only wines today. Okay, let's go try that again. I think that should maybe adjust it a little bit. I don't expect it to be honest, but I wonder if it'll save. Aha! That's not what we wanted though. It's different than what we wanted, but we're getting there. Why is it? What happened here? What? Left with. Did I mess up a div somewhere? Nope. What? Is it just because it's bigger? No, that doesn't explain why this... What is that? Maybe there's a margin issue somewhere. Is it because it's inline blocks? Let's remove this. Even though I don't remember what this does. I'm curious if that... I don't think that's going to fix it, but it's a nice dream. Refresh. Tell me about crabs. Yep, that's not it. Let's go hit undo. That didn't do it. Okay, so that fixed that, but yeah, that didn't work. Where is this coming from? Let's make body. You know what? Let's make the margin or the padding. Sure. Let's see what it does. I'm just fiddling with CSS now. I have no idea what this is gonna do. I fully expect it to still look disgusting. It is actually more readable. I don't know where this space is coming from. Let's actually refresh my zoom right now. Oh, well, where is this? What is... I don't think that's what I meant. You know what? Let's go. You know what? I think it's auto. I think it's margin auto. Is it margin auto? Yeah, it is. Gosh, I knew it. I keep doing this where I'm like, I know the thing, and I just don't do it. Ah, gosh. Okay. Well, that's okay because let's also do a div around this whole thing. I need that. I want to look at... This should be outside the if state. No, that's fine. Yes, we're good. Okay, this should be that. And what I want to do is style. Yeah, that's fine. Margin, and I want to do margin left and margin right. I'm going to give it the same margin. And then make the width 2/3 of that. Sure. You know what? Let's do 5% for giggles. I don't know what that's going to do because I don't remember. I want to do... Yes, that's fine. And then text align, fine. With margin auto. And then we're going to do margin auto. Whoops. And then I need a semicolon on those. And then, so this should encapsulate all of those. Let's see what happens. Go ahead and hit refresh. Keep asking ChatGPT about crabs. Hey, that's much better. See, I know what I'm doing. This is good. I'm so very glad. Okay. Let's also zoom in. Whoop, wrong window. I wanted to zoom in here. Yay, and it scales. Oh, that looks so good. That makes me happy. Yay. Okay, wait, okay. Let's do, tell me about knitting. I want to see what it does. Whoo! Yay! This makes me very happy that this is working out. Okay, now let's go and, okay, so like, we're going and making this like a chatbot, right? Let's like walk it back really quick. Because I realized we have about 30 minutes before I wanted to end the stream, which means we may not have time for a break, but I think with the way this is going, like, most people are gonna watch this later and then like pause it and take their own break, so like it should be fine. But like we're making really good progress, which yay. The thing that I wanted to go back over is how do we make this versatile? Like we've done a bare bones, ChatGPT, Q&A. Like how do we adapt this for something else that we want to use? Maybe it's that we want to get recommendations for travel. And the way to do that, and the way to basically adapt this work, is what I'm getting at, is to go back and look at the roles, right? So we currently have a dictionary of the different roles that a bot can have. And so we have the travel bot and the game bot that are not filled in, but I might put in something like, from now on, you're going to act as a travel agent. Your role is to reply to location requests with information about where they should eat, where they should visit, what are the tourist attractions, and maybe something else. Or like, what is the average cost of food? Who knows? And what's the average weather at the time of year that they may mention, which they may not, right? You know, like not everybody knows, like, oh, I'm going in November. Okay, I don't know what the weather's like. And so maybe they might be asked to create a travel itinerary. This would be a great opportunity for that response format where you create a JSON schema saying, this is the weather. And you have a weather and then whatever the answer is. And then you have a food and this is what the answer is. And you have like currency and this is what the answer is, and so on and so forth. And that's a really great opportunity. Because then you could do the chatbot thing that we're doing like here, where we're saying just give us information. Or you could have like a nice like refined app that actually goes and gives you like an itinerary that you can actually like print out or share with people or be like, hey, I want to hit these things, tell me how to do it more efficiently. The most common like general ChatGPT without it being an application thing that I saw was that when I was in New York, some of the people that I was around were like, oh, the way I'm optimally seeing New York is that I said I want to see all these places, and they gave ChatGPT a list. And they said, okay, ChatGPT, tell me what is the optimal way to spend my time over the course of X number of weekends to visit these locations, with the intent being that I spend my time per weekend in one of the boroughs. And so they were like, oh, I was in Queens this weekend. I did this, 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 this. And it's like, wow, that was a lot, and you barely spent any money on train tickets or like the ticket, the pass, because you spent all your time in that city or that area, that borough. So you didn't actually have to like pay to go out there and pay to come back or pay like, because when people go to like New York, for example, again, sticking with this example, because like depending on where you might be, that might be like just a recognizable location that has public transit. Some people will be like, I want to see the Statue of Liberty, and I want to see like the New York Public Library, and I want to see the Sixth Avenue, and so it's like all over the place already. And like, what if you want to go to Brooklyn? That's like a 40-minute train ride from Manhattan, and so on and so forth. Like these will add up because you're spending so much time on the train and not spending time doing tourist stuff. So having a preceded like prompt that gives you, again, a JSON format that you might render in a nice, pretty app where it's like, oh, here's your dashboard of your upcoming travel. And it automatically fills in the information based on location. Or it might be that it's like, it has a separate form that says, put in all the locations you'd like to see and the food that you'd like to eat and all this other stuff. And it will put that itinerary together as an output of your app. So, we're not doing this in the stream. But this is a concept that you could go ahead and run with of how do you adapt this. You now know how it works. You now interact with it. You know that you have to structure the output. How do you take this and make this so much more, right? So now that I've rambled for like 5 minutes, maybe we do take a 5-minute break while I figure out what else we can do. Or we start like working toward that adaptation, honestly. Like what does it look like to create a separate app? So yeah. Or maybe not. I kind of want to be done. I kind of want to be done. Let's get this done. Let's start the process at least. I don't think we'll finish in time, but I want to at least get people thinking. So we're gonna change this to travel. We're not gonna use the index page. We're gonna use the travel index. Maybe we have a larger form. So we don't have a message. We have a location. So let's change that to location. And maybe we have a let's see. Maybe we have like a multi-select or something that says that we want, I know. Hi, baby. Hello. Hi. Thanks for coming. Peanut has come to say hello again. I have been rejected, of course. Okay, but I want to add things like I want to know about the currency. I want to know about food. I want to know about the optimal tourist plan. I want to know about the weather. I want to know about what else would I want to know when I go travel? I want to know, like, given the duration, what can I see? So I want the duration of the trip. Looks like it's saying best time to visit. Does it have visa requirements, travel restrictions, travel advisories? Ooh, I like that. Visa requirements is a great idea. Oh, language. Like a cheat sheet on the language would be nice. Oh boy, Peanut's doing something behind me and I'm not willing to find out. Yeah, let's stick with that as far as ideas. What are you doing, child? Hello. I can't help you. I don't know what you want. Are you gonna become a coder? My greatest interruption is usually never Peanut. Hi, come here. I got a code, honey. You gonna come up? No, not coming up. Okay, that's fine. Right. So I haven't made the form yet. I know I'm gonna have to update this HTML, etc. Yeah, I don't want to take a break, but Peanut wants me to take a break. Oh, the door's open. You can escape. I have no idea what she wants. I think it's just that she wants her evening time. That's okay. We're almost done. Right. So I have all these things I could possibly want. And so maybe this is a multi-select. This should be a multiple selects in a form. Okay, and so I might call that options. And so I'll call that the get options. And then we should update this where it's going to be location equals location, where we're passing that value in, and then we're passing in that get chat where, so we didn't actually use like wiki for anything. Something we could do is actually move this call outside of the render template. We can actually just put it as part of that. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna really hope I don't break anything, but knowing my luck, I probably will. So we're gonna go ahead and move that and put that there, because like we don't actually need the wiki. We just want the function called, and we want to update that global variable. But if we wanted, say, the output of the chat history and we weren't using a global variable, this would be great to do. Because we're doing it this way, it's kind of fine. It's not great, but it's fine. Okay, and we're passing in that it's a travel bot. And let's change that to location and options. And then let's go ahead and get rid of this again because we don't need it. And then pass messages, we'll leave that for now. But the rendering would be different. Maybe it's that we pass in the JSON itself, where it would actually be whatever the output is. Lots of different ways we could do this. And again, given the timing, we may not even finish getting to that point, but it would be a good jumping off point to say like, well, if I wanted to finish this, what would it look like? To be honest, I kind of want to finish this project after the fact. Or at least get it to a point that I'm like, here's a travel version like I was talking about. Because again, I want you all to come up with your own ideas. The travel one is just one that I think about way too much. I want it for myself. That's the reality of it. I just want a really nice travel dash. Travel dash for Cecilia, please. Yeah. So, let's see. I don't actually need to change. Okay, I did update this. That's fine. That's fine. We don't have a travel HTML, so let's go ahead and really quickly create that. We're new travel.html. Let's have Copilot write a HTML file in using Jinja 2 templates where a form is submitted with a text field for location and a multi-select with options containing location. That wasn't. Was it currency? Weather. Length of. We can't actually include length of stay as an option. That would be a separate format. Travel, visas. I don't remember anything else that we wrote, but we can copy from there. But I can write that. Let's see what it gives us. Hey! So it gave us a travel information form. It gave us location, gave us select information, and we got to submit. And we have the action submit, which we're going to change to travel because we're not going to have this thing mess up again. Let's copy that, move that here because we're going to do it right this time. Cool. So we have the options. It's going to give us an array. We'll process that later. Okay, we had more things in here. We can add that later. But let's go ahead and see what else we need to adapt. So, I think we actually need to move how we seed the bot elsewhere. So right now we have the roles. Let's go ahead and adapt this. And do that. Okay, from now on, you're going to act as a travel bot. Your role is spread information on travel decision. You may provide info, in which case respond with a summary of the location. No. Based on the requested attributes supplied by the user. Sure, provide source links because that's good for like just seeing where the information came from, because if they did lie or hallucinate technically, then you can actually fact check things, which makes it a much more reliable application than just here's some information. Is it right? Who knows? You know. Anyway, so we have a very basic prompt. I don't think this is a great prompt, but it's enough to get started. Let's see. Initializing it, that's fine, that's fine. So originally when we did the chat history initialization, we did it up here, and we did that. So there's two ways I would approach this, like just right off the bat thinking of like, how do I solve this issue? For chat history, I could leave it as is, and it's just a matter of, you know, which page did I select first? I don't quite know how I would do that, but the other thing I might do is just create like chat histories for each like application that I make with this, right? Because ideally you're not gonna really make multiple of these. I mean, I'm again proof of concept. That said, is it the easy solution that would ensure that things are working the way I want, where I can precede information? Yes. Do I want to do that? No, but I can't think of a faster solution in the time that we have. So even though I don't like it, we're gonna do it this way. But I don't like it. Because chat completion is called here, and with the role, we're passing it in. So, I have written myself into a box, and I do not like it. I do not like it, Sam I am. So the issue I'm running into is I didn't actually make this as versatile as I thought I would. The better thing to do is actually to pass in chat history, I think, to the function, and then not make it global. I don't like this. We're gonna just comment it out because that's even easier. We're just gonna adjust this for our purposes, even though it's gonna break things. We don't need that comment anymore. Replace with Wikibot if working with Wikibot project. Temporary fix until better solution for chat history tracking across multiple bots being active at the same time. Okay, we'll deal with that later. can also delete this because we don't need it anymore. Okay. Great, problem solved. It's gross, but it do the job. So we might disable this, change this to like index or something, or just comment it out and just have this be the main route. I don't like it, but it works this way. Cool. We also have to adapt to get chat to include our options. Oh, I've made this such a hard project already. Why have I done this to myself? Let's give this an empty array. Actually, I just learned today. My partner was telling me this horrible fact of Python, which I'm like, I can see why this would improve runtime, but I also see how this is an unintended side effect, and I don't like it. If you set up a parameter with an empty array auto-assigned to it if the parameter does not exist, let's say you want to append something to the array, oh my goodness, and then you append something to that new array again, logically you would get the output, like what I'm demonstrating right now, because this is very off track, but I'm like, if I know this now, everybody else must know this. And we're saying it doesn't really matter what you append. The point is it's doing that. Return. Okay. I think it's actually print. We don't need to return it. Yeah. Okay. So when you do this, you would expect that this would work, and it would just like print X or print this, right? No. The way this works is it's actually going to print that. It's going to print 2 X's. Because apparently, when you create a new array like this in your function headers, it only remakes the array once, and that's when you first call the function, or when it's like first accessed. It never recreates the array. Blah! Yeah. Have fun with that information. Congratulations. I shouldn't have an empty array here. Oh wait, no. The fix was have it be none or something? Yes, the fix was to check if the array existed, and if the array doesn't exist, create a new array and add things, or if do whatever the other function is, which is what we're doing here. We're saying if options is none, don't do stuff. Let's see. I want to update. Oh, string histories. Fine, I guess. I guess the way that I would change this is, I didn't think this far ahead when I said we should do this. We don't have time for this. We have the user input. Maybe that's a rendering thing that I actually offer here. That I render this a specific way that would, well, no, because I'm doing, no, I pass in location options, and we have get chat. Oh, why am I doing this to myself? We don't have to do it this way. There are better ways to do this. There are better ways to do this. Input text. And we're gonna do input text equal to, sure. I'm gonna just keep that. I want to know about options. Yeah. Given location, I want to know about. Yeah, that's probably fine. And then, why are you screaming at me? Must be separated by new lines or semicolons. There is a quotation here. You should be fine. Oh, it's because I added a weird thing. Okay, there we go. All right, so now this handles that weirdness. Yay. Unfortunately, there is no link today. I goofed in streaming today. I'm so sorry, but the, what's it called? The link expired because it was supposed to be an earlier stream. I'm making the stream up for those who want to watch it after the fact. I think I'll see what I can do. Hello, Peanut. Welcome back. Got about 10 minutes. What can I do in 10 minutes? Oh my goodness. Okay, so we have location, we have options, we have given the input I want to know about blah. URL, ask me anything. Oh, this is travel, hang on. I don't have any rendering on this. The pressure's on. Message. I don't have message. I have travel, rendering, location, and then I have past messages. Oh, let's just do output. Oh, I did chat history, though. Yeah, let's leave that. Let's leave it, and let's just make this. What would I name it? I named it past messages. Just show me what past messages actually brings up before I start rendering. I want to know what the data looks like because we haven't done the formatting output. And then the preceded prompt is that. What do we name the prompt actually? I forgot already. You're going to act as travel bots, destination, and the requested attributes. I call it requested options. Okay. Let's just see what it does. I'm curious. Let's go ahead and render that. I fully expect it to be broken. Yep. That's because I didn't run the server. Good job, me. And we're also going to change this to not be travel because I'm breaking things and I'm suspicious. No, let's see if it works. Let's see if it works. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Wait, why are you not? Yep, not working. Yeah, that would explain a lot. It would help if I did that. Let's try again. Okay. Travel. Decorator. Assertion. View function mapping is overriding. But I fixed it. Didn't I? Nope, still giving me that. Et tu, Brute. App route, travel, get, post, line 100. It's fine. I didn't name it travel. Decorator, URL rule, add URL, assertion error, view function. Mapping is overriding an existing, but I changed index. Oh, I didn't name the function different. Duh. There we go. All right, refresh. Let's go to the travel endpoint now. Hey, New York, submit. Let's just see what. Okay. Given New York, I want to know about none. That's not good. If you have specific requests, I can provide more detail. Okay. Ooh, that did not work. But it gave us information. It just didn't, like, save it properly, which I'm like, oh, what happened? I don't need location. Let's go look at the food. Let's replace location with food. And let's also check for HTML form get multi-select values. In GHW and Flask. Option value. Value. You should have worked. Did I not do something? Let's go restart that really quick, just to see what happened. Oh. Well, thank you for that, but that didn't work. Barcelona. it keep saying none? Why is it giving me none? Python Flask get. Oh, did I? Is it a matter of the ID? No, the ID is options. Get list. That's what it is. It is get list. Okay, let's go fix that again. Well, we're almost done. We got 5 more minutes, at least as far as where we're gonna wrap up for the day. Let's go ahead. Actually, no, let's not refresh. Let's go ahead and just open that. Let's call it New Delhi. I didn't spell that right. Shame on me. Goodness. Tell me more about weather and travel visas for New Delhi. Give me the thing. Give me the thing. You gave me an empty array. Great, but that's not none. Why did you give me an empty array? Dot join options. It's get list from that. Well, I guess I want to do that. Maybe that one will work. Travel. New York. Give me info, please. Ah, yay! Given New York, I want to know about currency and weather. There we go. Oh, that's beautiful. I mean, it looks like garbage, but we have data now. Fantastic. Solving bugs so fast. How do I go about a hackathon? I'm scared because I think I won't be able to code. I've never attended. Yeah, I can help, actually. This is my research. And also a lot of the work I've done at my PhD. Please hold for just a moment while I do something really quick. Right, okay, so first time hackathon. So when you are a new hacker, that's actually a really great time because it means that you have so much knowledge at your hands to figure out what you'd like to do. But a lot of people will start with a basic website or a basic application. They'll often follow a tutorial to get started where they're going to learn a lot in that tutorial. And so it could be like maybe you are making a to-do list or you're making your portfolio website using basic HTML, CSS, etc. And so a lot of the things you've been seeing me do in the last like hour and a half has been mostly what you might do at a hackathon, which is that so I'll be honest, I searched a lot of tutorials in preparing for this workshop. It helps that I can read Python and I kind of know how to work with Flask, but I did a lot of like pre-work and like debugging some initial setup things. It's also why I have a to-do list. But I've never worked with ChatGPT before this workshop. I have never done CSS in Flask before this workshop. All that stuff I've been Googling on the fly with you while you've been watching, even though I have some preliminary knowledge. I think you can. I just think you need to start small. What is a small project for you? For me, this is quote unquote a small to medium project because, yeah, I can get it done, but I can blow it up into a really big thing. And the most important thing in a hackathon is scope. Your goal is not to win first place, although that would be amazing, and there's plenty of opportunities to do that. Your goal is to figure out what works for you. What somebody else does at a hackathon, and that's their path to success, is not necessarily the story that you'll have when you go in. So what I'm trying to get at is, well, be kinder to yourself, first of all. It takes a lot for me to be on stream when I'm like, wow, I don't code most of the year. This is my only opportunity to code. But you've learned some basic concepts in your class, and a hackathon is your freewheeling opportunity to just do anything. So, oftentimes, if you wanted like formal recommendations, I oftentimes will see people start with a portfolio website or to do list using HTML, JavaScript, and CSS because a lot of those are key to understanding if you wanted to go into web dev, how to use post requests and UI frameworks and all sorts of things that might make your time working with these basic languages easier. But they're written in the same languages, so in order to really use those frameworks effectively, learning the beginning stuff is great. You can make a great project with simple code. You can make a tic-tac-toe game. You can follow a tutorial. I will give you the caveat that is, if you follow a tutorial, don't just submit that. Do something that's unique to you or make it your own. So let's say you follow a tutorial for a portfolio. Don't copy everything, including their name, but fill it with more stuff about you, the project that you're working on, more about your background. Change the colors. Learn how to like add weird tags or things that would change your interaction with that site. All these small changes can come from just you Googling or saying like, how do I do this other thing instead? Like looking at websites that you like. Could you mimic it? What would it take to mimic it? And then how do you understand from that? So all that to say is that the scariest thing is starting, but a good hackathon is ready for when you are ready, when you have an idea, no matter how big, small, great and wonderful and world saving or silly. One of my favorite stories is that I organized a hackathon in my university, and I've been doing it for a very long time. But we introduced a prize called Most Useless. Not saying that every project is bad, but we noticed that a lot of people were struggling to come up with good ideas. And so this good idea can be actually a problematic thought. So we wanted to challenge people to come up with bad ideas, or at least ideas that weren't malicious, but that at least allowed people to get over the hump of like, my idea is not good enough, right? And so this team that submitted a project said that they wanted to learn how to use an API. They'd never done it before, they've never worked with it, but they said, we want to learn how to use an API. And at the time, my event had a couple credit card sponsors over the course of a few years. And so for this year, we had a credit card sponsor, and they allowed access to the use of their APIs. And I think the category was something like best use of their API or something like that. I can't remember. It's been a very long time. But the point is, the hackers were like, yeah, we learned how to use an API. They were talking to the judges, and they told the judges as part of their demo, like, hey, put your credit card info into this like simple HTML form, right? So they put their credit card info in, and they're like, great, you at some point this month, you're going to be charged a random amount. And that was their project. That is a very silly and not world-saving idea. But when asked, did they learn about APIs? They're like, yeah, we like totally understand it now. When asked, where does the money go? They were like, oh, we have no idea. It just charges you randomly, which is a great story that you can then share to other events, to other interviewers, to put on your resume. That's a very unique thing. And if it helps any, when I first went to a hackathon, I didn't even code at all. My friends did all the coding, and I felt really left out because of that, because I didn't feel like I was good enough. But that opportunity gave me a chance to talk to every other hacker in that room, and I got to learn about so many cool projects. And so while I didn't necessarily enjoy my team at the event, I still went to more hackathons because I wanted to talk to more people about their projects and eventually figure out something that I wanted to build for myself. So I did not start great at coding, and even from these streams, I think you'll notice my code may not be as good as others. But I'm learning something, and I'm also explaining along the way, because as long as I'm explaining, it means that I understand what I'm looking at, and that will help me in the future. So a very, very long story to say, it can be intimidating. The hardest thing to do is just start. But I encourage you to do so, and to find people who will celebrate the fact that you started. A good hackathon will do that. With that being in mind, again, recommended projects are just find a tutorial for something that you want to learn. Follow along. If you like it, great, keep digging. Keep learning more. If you don't like it, well, that's how you found out maybe that's not a technology you want to work on in the future. Use it more to your benefit of what you need. I hope that helps. I think I've just rambled for like 10 minutes. But sometimes you don't even have to code. There are hackathons that allow you to just attend the workshops, and you can learn a lot from those workshops. Enough that maybe it'll make you feel confident to come back next year, or to even host your own mini self hosted hackathon where you order a nice takeout meal for like 3 people and it's just you, and you code for a weekend. Even though there are plenty of hackathons with other people around, if you're still feeling kind of scared, you can do it on your own. But I find that the hackathon community is full of really good people who encourage you to do beyond your wildest dreams. There's a reason I'm here. I'm here because someone told me I could, and I'd like to be the person to tell you that you can. So, sappiness aside, yeah, you can definitely code. It will take time. It may be discouraging, but you can code. And if not, you can find other ways to participate. You can just go to workshops. You can just show up to the judging ceremony or to the judging presentation and see all the projects and note them down on the dev post and go check out their GitHubs later to learn from. Um, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. Yeah. Any other questions? Because we're basically at time. I wanna go eat dinner actually. But if there's any last questions, I'm happy to answer any, especially about like how to hackathon or how to figure out your own path to success. Because this is literally my research and also a lot of work I spent a lot of time in with my event. Because I didn't have a great beginner experience and I didn't want other people to have that experience, so I made like a how to hackathon workshop. Like basically it's a choose your own adventure, and I made a how to use GitHub workshop and a whole bunch of other stuff. And these days a lot of hackathons have hacker guides, or they have workshops ahead of the event so that way they can help people feel like they know what they're doing when they come in. Or even team building. If you find a good team, they'll teach you so much. It can be hard, it can be intimidating, but there are good teams out there. I've had the chance to talk to a lot of people thanks to my research. And they're like, yeah, I taught this person, like I told them how to hackathon, I told them how to figure out projects so that, maybe they can be like specialized for an event, all sorts of things. And so, yeah, this community is pretty good. Um, like, y'all aren't flaming me in chat for being so slow about coding, which is also very nice. I appreciate it. And I've had a really lovely experience with the whole community, whether I've been online or in person. Yeah. So if you attend a hackathon by yourself, there are often team building activities leading up to, depending on the event. So like MLH has a Discord for their event or for their community. But hackathons will often have a Discord or a Slack channel, and they'll allow you in early if they want you to. And they'll have a team building channel or an introductions channel, and that's where you can say, "Hey, I'm looking for a team. I'm looking for someone who's willing to take on a newbie. In your case, who's willing to let me code." Or maybe so the more common thing, although it depends from event to event, it's changed over the last few years. A hackathon will usually have a team building activity right after opening ceremony, which takes a lot of courage. I've been there, but that's when you can walk up and say, I'm here to learn. I'm ready to learn. If you take a chance on me, we'll try it out." Not every team works. Like I said, my first team, even though I knew they were my friends, I lived across the street from them. They sucked. But everyone else I've teamed with after the fact has been great because I kind of know like what are my needs and what do I need to be successful for myself. So the team building activities can vary, where it's just like an icebreaker, or sometimes it'll be like a raise your hand if you're new, raise your hand if you have an idea and you're looking for somebody specific, in which case then they get paired up by like topic or like skill sets. And then those that remain will then go and say like, well, I'm looking to do this. I'm willing to take on someone I need to teach, and so on and so forth. And I will say, don't get discouraged if you can't find a team. Um, will it help? Yeah, but you don't need a team if an event doesn't require you to have a team. You're totally welcome to hack solo, and there are a lot of people who do. You might find that you're incredibly successful and you'll have tons of people wanting to be on your team. But as an alternative, let's say you end up finding that you're not really willing to pair with someone, or there's just not a lot of people that you mesh with, right? You can work by yourself. There are tons of mentors at events usually that you can go ask them questions. Or sometimes if you sit down next to someone or near someone, you might be able to bribe them with chicken nuggets, is what I've heard one team do, where they bought McDonald's for a team. just as to say thank you because they answered so many questions for them. Again, this community is pretty nice. So even if, like, again, encouraging you to find teammates, it can be intimidating and hard. But when you do find the ones that click with you, maybe that's your hackathon dream team and you go around to more events hacking together. But again, there are many ways that like events facilitate this team building. They do spend some time on it, whether it's before the event or right after opening ceremony. Sometimes they'll just you can hang out in the Discord channel for like the team building section and just say, hey, if anybody comes late, maybe we can work together. Because some people come late, they have jobs, they have church, they have all sorts of different obligations that mean that they come later. So maybe it's not that your teammate didn't show up or that there's no one to team with. It's just that maybe they're coming later. And you can help make them feel comfortable by waiting for them. So I hope that also helps. Again, we have about 5 minutes, so I'll give time for like one more question, then we'll close up. But these are really good questions to have. I hope that you can make it an enjoyable experience for yourself. Don't get down if something doesn't work out, because I think the best part about programming is figuring something out. And hackathons are kind of the same way, where whether it's that you figure out what team you need or not, or the languages that you like to work with, or that it ends up helping you in school, there's ways to create wins out of something that might not be the best experience. So make the most of it. All right. I'm not seeing any more questions. Give it some time for the delay to go through. Oh, it was different people that asked questions. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. I thought I was still answering Yash. Gosh, I'm tired, y'all. All right, well, I'm not seeing a new question come in. So I think we'll call it there. Thank you all for showing up. Especially, again, so sorry about goofing on my stream for those who watch it after the fact. That is totally my bad. Hopefully it won't happen again. I'll be much better about managing my calendar. But I think hopefully this will give you a lot more progress than I thought I would have made today. Yeah. So with that, have a good rest of your evening or your day if you're just starting. Tomorrow's the last day where we wrap up Global Hack Week. But there's one every month, so if you find that you enjoyed these or you want to learn more, check out the past streams on YouTube. Keep an eye on events coming up. I think actually if you're still pretty worried about things, try checking out a digital event. You get to hack from your own house, and I think it might be a good intro experience to get you started. It's much smaller sometimes. It might change just because it's the beginning of the season, but I find that it's a really good opportunity to just get a feel for what's going on before you really go into a physical hackathon. Cool. Well, I'll end it there. I hope everyone has a good rest of your day and night. And it is time for me to go eat dinner and go to sleep. All right, y'all. See you.